Funmilayo Johnson, at 34, had mastered the art of building empires and the unfortunate craft of nursing heartbreaks. The art of building empires had earned her this house, a sprawling two-story mansion in a quiet close in Lekki. Then another had built the invisible walls around her heart, far higher and more fortified than the gleaming white fence that enclosed her property. After 6 years of relentless work in Dubai's cutthroat real estate market, she had returned to Lagos, not with a triumphant roar, but with a quiet, determined click of a bespoke house. Its only occupant was Fumi, her silence, and the ghost of men who had promised forever and delivered goodbye. Her last relationship had ended with the discovery that her fiancé, a man she had supported financially and emotionally, had been weaving a tapestry of lies that included another family. Before him, he was the charming entrepreneur who saw her as a stepping stone. Then she made a promise to herself: no more. Her focus would be on her business, her peace, and the simple, uncomplicated joy of her own company. But peace in a city like Lagos required security. On her second day in the mansion, she called a top-rated security firm. "I need someone reliable, professional, and discreet," she said to the security firm manager, "preferably someone who understands boundaries." A day later, they sent Chiemela. He was younger than she had expected. 25, he said, when she briefly scanned his file. He was tall and slightly muscled, but very handsome. When he spoke, his voice was a low, respectful baritone. "Good morning, ma." "Welcome back, ma. The gate is secure, ma." For the first few weeks, he was just a part of the house's machine. Please subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell, like, and comment. Thank you. Machinery, the human element of the security system. Fumi will drive past in her Mercedes G-Wagon, offering a curt nod, her mind already on quarterly reports and investment portfolios. She was the madame of the house. He was the gatesman. The lines were clear, drawn in the indelible ink of social standing and employment contracts. But slowly, Fumi began to notice things. She noticed the way he tended to the flowers in the compound, coaxing life into them with a watering hose. She noticed how, after a heavy rain, he would take a broom and meticulously sweep the water away from the walkway so her heels wouldn't slip. Then there were other small, quiet acts of care that had no place in his job description. There were glimpses of the man behind the uniform, and they began to do what no charming word or expensive gift had done in years. They made a crack in her fortress. She found herself looking forward to the morning greetings. His "good morning, ma" was often accompanied by a small, genuine smile that always lit up his eyes. It was a stark contrast to the cloying flattery she was used to. He had a smile of simple human decency. The realization of her growing affection came upon her like a sudden fever. She was in her kitchen one Saturday, staring out the window, and found herself smiling because Chiemela was softly whistling as he walked past the kitchen window. The smile froze on her face. What was she doing? This was Chiemela, her security guard. A man 9 years her junior. A man whose monthly salary was less than what she spent on a single pair of shoes. The idea was absurd, dangerous. It was a recipe for a new, more humiliating kind of heartbreak. She tried to pull back, to restore the professional distance. Her nods became curt again, her gaze averted. But the effort felt hollow. The fortress she had built to protect her heart now felt like a prison. And she was beginning to see the man at the gate as a symbol of a life, a warmth she had locked herself away from. It was Tunde, her oldest friend, who called her out on it. He had come over with a bottle of wine and a listening ear, his usual remedy for her bouts of melancholy. "You seem different for me," he said. "Distracted." "Oh, it's just work," she lied, staring into her own glass. "Is it?" Tunde leaned forward, his eyes kind but probing. "Because for the last 10 minutes, you've glanced towards the gate 4 times. Everything okay with the new security guard?" The question hung in the air. Funmi felt a flush creep up her neck. She opened her mouth to issue another denial, but the words wouldn't come. The loneliness of the past few years, the ache for a simple, honest connection, it all came bubbling to the surface. Her shoulders slumped. "He's a good man, Tunde," she whispered, the confession feeling like both a betrayal of her own rules and a profound relief. "He's kind. And I think I'm starting to feel something, and it's terrifying." She finally looked at her friend, her eyes swimming with confusion and fear. "He's my gate man, Tunde. He's 25. What am I supposed to do with that?" Tunde did not laugh or judge. He simply listened, his expression softening with understanding as Funmi poured out all her conflicted feelings. The warmth Chiemela's quiet presence brought her, and the cold dread of societal expectations. "So," Tunde said finally, setting his glass down, "you are scared of what people will think? The woman in the mansion and the man at her gate?" Funmi nodded, feeling a knot of shame tighten in her stomach. "They'll call me a predator. They'll say he's just after my money. And what do you think?" Tunde asked gently. "After all the corny people you've dated, what does your God tell you about Chiemela?" Funmi thought of the flowers, the walkway, the gentle hands guiding a lost kitten. "My God," she said softly, "tells me he's better than all of them combined." "Then maybe it's time you started listening to your gut instead of the imaginary gossip of strangers," Tunde concluded. He stayed for another hour, not offering easy solutions, but simply validating her feelings, making them feel less absurd and more human. His visit planted a seed of courage in Funmi. The next day, she resolved to at least learn more about the man who occupied so much of her thoughts. But how? The employer-employee dynamic was a chasm between them. It was Tunde again who provided the bridge. He called her a few days later. "Funmi, my car's making a funny noise. I'm near your place. Can I stop by for a bit while my mechanic comes to check it?" It was a blatant excuse and she knew it, but she agreed. Tunde arrived and, as planned, parked his car near the gate while Funmi made him a cup of coffee. He struck up a conversation with Chiemela. He didn't pry. He talked about cars, about the neighborhood, about the rising cost of living in Lagos. He learned that Chiemela was a graduate of mechanical engineering and was supporting his mother back in their village. When Tunde got inside the house, his verdict was clear. "He's a solid guy for me. Mature, responsible. He speaks about you with this incredible respect. He calls you a strong woman and a role model." "He said that?" Funmi asked, her heart giving a hopeful leap. He did, but he also knows his place. He would never, ever overstep. He's intimidated by you, by all of this. Tunde gestured around the opulent living room. If anything is going to happen here, you have to be the one to open the gate. Metaphorically speaking, the conversation replayed in Fumi's mind for the rest of the week. Tunde was right. Chiemela would never make a move. The risk was entirely hers. Was she brave enough to take it? Was the potential for happiness worth the risk of ridicule and another potential failure? On Saturday afternoon, she made her decision. She walked out of her front door, her heart hammering against her ribs. She had rehearsed a dozen scenarios in her head. But when she saw him, standing at his post, watching her approach with a slightly puzzled look, they all evaporated. She stopped a few feet from him. Chiemela. Yes, ma, he answered, his posture straightening even more, if that were possible. I wanted to thank you, she began, her voice a little shaky, for the flowers, for taking care of the house, for just being so diligent. I appreciate it. A flicker of surprise crossed his face, followed by a warm smile. It's my job, ma. It's nothing. No, it's something, she insisted, taking a deep breath to steady herself. This was it. Chiemela, I was wondering, would you be open to having a proper conversation with me sometime? Not as your boss, but just as Fumi. The air grew still. Chiemela stared at her. He seemed to be processing her words, trying to understand if he had heard correctly. For a terrifying moment, she thought he was going to refuse. Please subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification bell, like, and comment. Thank you. That she had misread everything and made a fool of herself. Then the confusion in his eyes melted away, replaced by a dawning brilliant joy. It was like watching the sun rise. A slow white grin spread across his face, lighting up his entire being. He looked boyish and overwhelmed and incredibly happy all at once. Yes, ma, I would. The word full of wonder, but she would have preferred a yes for me. I would like that very much. It wasn't a yes from a gate man to his madam. It was a yes from a man who had been hoping for a door to open and had just watched the woman he admired walk right through it. He was, in that moment, completely and utterly over the moon. Their courtship was a delicate dance of bridging two different worlds. Their first real conversation happened in her own garden, a neutral territory between the main house and the gatehouse. They talked for hours, discovering a shared sense of humor and a mutual longing for a life of quiet integrity. Their first official date was to a quiet, unassuming restaurant, far from the prying eyes of the Lekki social scene. They fell in love, not with a crash, but with the gentle certainty of a sunrise. He loved her for her strength and her hidden vulnerability. She loved him for his kindness, his quiet confidence, and the way he saw her, not as a success story, but as a woman worthy of being cherished. 9 months later, they stood before a small gathering of their closest friends and family. Fumi in a simple, elegant ivory dress. She was 34. Chiemela in a sharp, well-fitted suit. He was 25 years old. As they exchanged their vows, the labels of employer and gate man, of age and status, had long since dissolved, leaving only two people, two hearts, beginning their own empire of love.